Hey YouTube, Bob here. Got a package in the mail from Japan the other day, and inside is something that I've been waiting for to complete one of my Nintendo series collections. So without further ado, we'll unbox it and see what's inside. Alright. So right away, being a package from Japan, it looks like I got a thank you card. It says, "Thank you. My dream is to become friends with people around the world through eBay. Please add a Japanese friends to your friends list. After you have received the goods, I would be happy if you could leave positive feedback. Arigato gozaimasu." Arcadia, Japan is the name of the seller there. So, very happy to receive this item. It's packaged well, as always. And see what we have. It is, can you see it through the plastic even? Maybe you can make out that logo there. It is a Legend of Zelda game. And if you're familiar with my videos, you may think, don't you have just about every Zelda game there is? And I do. I do have most Zelda games. And I actually do already have the American version, or the North American version of this game, Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. But there's something unique about the Japanese and Korean version of this game. And that's what we're going to take a look at in this video. So the Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures is kind of a rarity in and of itself, the Japanese edition aside. And the reason I say that is because it's a non-conventional Zelda game. And you see that right in the title. 4 Swords Adventures. If you're familiar with Zelda games, you know that there's an overworld, there are labyrinths, there's a main goal of the game with side quests. This particular game, 4 Swords Adventures, is kind of broken up into episodes. Things that you need to accomplish, goals to meet, puzzles to solve, using 4 Link characters. And you can control the 4 Link characters either as one player in the single player mode, or you can use the Nintendo GameCube Game Boy Advance cable. And in this particular bundle, as is with this one here, they include that Game Boy Advance cable. And what you're supposed to do, either alone or with 4 friends, is to control the 4 different colored links. We've got green, red, blue, and purple. You put them in different formations: square, diamond, horizontal line, vertical line, and you try to solve the puzzles and defeat the bosses to accomplish the goal for that particular adventure. And it's kind of a fun game. It really distills the different essences of Zelda, such as solving puzzles and side quests without that overarching adventure theme. Some people liked it and some people didn't. But the main turnoff for a lot of people for this game was it was designed to be a multiplayer game. But in order for you to be able to take advantage of its multiplayer features, each of the 4 players needed to have not only the Game Boy Advance cable, but their own Game Boy Advance system. So you needed a GameCube, 4 Game Boy Advances, and then the cable that went along with it to connect the system. So you can see how that may become a logistic nightmare, especially for your friends who didn't have a Game Boy Advance. So that was an unfortunate downfall, which made it so that not a lot of people could enjoy the multiplayer functionality of this game. But the upside is that the one-player campaign was just as fun. And that's something that's rare in multiplayer games. Usually a multiplayer game is designed to be multiplayer from the ground up, and if you're not playing it that way, well, it's not going to be much fun. This game is different. The single-player mode is actually a lot of fun, even if you can't play it with the 4 Game Boy Advances. And what's kind of interesting is this was foreshadowing, again, Nintendo's idea of that asymmetrical gameplay, which we now see in the Wii U with the Wii U control pad. You're supposed to have elements of the game going on off the main screen on your Game Boy Advance, and then elements of the game going on the main screen. Speaking of Zelda, looks like I just got an email. Sorry about that. But anyway, let's take a look at the Japanese version, because my US version is still sealed. I do have a loose cartridge version of this without the actual Game Boy Advance cable. And at retail, you could buy this bundle with the cable. It doesn't have the Game Boy Advance, by the way, just the cable. Or you could buy the game separately. So let's take a look at the Japanese version. So right off the bat, there's a difference in form factor of the two packages, as there tends to be between North American and Japanese releases. The North American one has a vertical orientation, the Japanese one has a horizontal orientation. The height of the box is pretty much the same. The width, there's definitely a difference. You take a look. And then the thickness, there's a difference as well. But inside, the contents for the most part are the same. You get the game, you get the cable. But again, I'm going to get into later on, there's a bit of a difference between the US version and the Japanese version of the game. But both packages do let you know that it is 4-player capable. However, in the Japanese version, they make it very clear that you can play 4-player, and they mean 4-player, not 3-player, not 2, only 4-player, or you can play the single-player campaign. Both games bear a badge that let you know that there is Game Boy Advance to GameCube connectivity. The badge is a little bit different on both packages. But nevertheless, it lets you know of the 4-player connectivity. So, as I said, I'm going to keep my North American version sealed. I do have an open copy of the actual game, the North American version of the game here. And it's pretty much a standard issue. Got the DVD style case, the mini disc here for the GameCube, the memory card holder, and then the instruction manual, and the Nintendo Power subscription, and then the consumer precautions pamphlet. So pretty much a standard issue with the US version here. Japanese version, let's see what we got. Open up the side here, and we see right away the Game Boy Advance cable comes in a bag and has an instruction manual, just a little pamphlet rather. Tells you how to make the connection to the top of your Game Boy Advance. And this cable, you can tell, was definitely designed for the original model of the Game Boy Advance, not the Game Boy Advance SP. Never looked quite as good connected to a Game Boy Advance SP, but it worked just the same. The only model that this did not work with was the Game Boy Micro. So this is the cable. They give you plenty of cord. This plugs into the GameCube on the front, and then this funny looking adapter connects to the top of your Game Boy Advance. And it needs to be this big because there are these clips here that kind of lock it into place. And I guess they decided that that was really important to be able to lock the cable in so that it didn't become detached during gameplay, because who knows, maybe that would make your game freeze, and who would want that? So let's see what else we have in the box. Looks like we have a bit of a cardboard retainer tray. If I pull it out, I bet we will get the game. And there is the game, of course. And that is all else that is in there. Japanese GameCube games have quite a different form factor than their North American counterparts. They're a lot smaller, which makes sense. Nintendo went with a proprietary small or mini style disc. So you'd think the case would be smaller, but no, not in the United States. The back of the cases mimic the back of the actual cardboard box for the cable bundle. The neat thing about the GameCube games in Japan is this outer cardboard cover is a slipcase. And then inside you have sort of a translucent plastic case. Open it up. Got your Club Nintendo code, which I've never used it. This game was supposed to be brand new, but who knows, somebody could have cashed in on that code, but it doesn't matter, because Club Nintendo, at least in the United States, is no more. You've got your GameCube game, and then what you also have is the instruction manual. Take it out. This one is very thick. Not quite as thick as, or actually it's probably thicker than the US version because they had to condense it due to the smaller size. But just as colorful and just as detailed. I always enjoy Legend of Zelda instruction books because they have a lot of artwork and they go into great detail. So in regards to detail, what is different about this Japanese and the Korean version of the game than the US version of the game? Well, both games do include Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures, the single player and the 4-player modes. What the Japanese and Korean versions include is a kind of side game or a mini game called Tetra Trackers. And that was the original name for the game. When it was actually released, they renamed it to Navi Trackers, as in Navi from Ocarina of Time. And from what I understand, it's kind of a puzzle game. It's definitely not a full-blown, in and of itself type of game. But what I want to do is boot up both of these versions side by side, see where the difference is, at least in the menu, and then take a little bit of a look at Navi Trackers. Okay, so the addition of Navi Trackers on the Japanese version of the game is obvious in the menu. Here's the sub-menu for it, and like the multiplayer version of Hyrulean Adventure, it looks like Navi Trackers is only playable with 4 Game Boy Advance systems. Now, we're probably not going to get very far, but let's see what happens. Looks like we're heading into a demo. At least we can enjoy that. Wakarimasen. Well, of all the Nintendo hardware I have, I don't have 4 Game Boy Advance or 4 link cables. Now you can see why this game struggled. Oh well. Sayonara, Tetra-chan. Well, if you're interested in finding out a bit more about Navi Trackers, I'll post some links about it in the video description for this video. And even though I can't play it, I'm happy to have this more complete version of Four Swords Adventures as part of my Legend of Zelda collection. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the video, and you'll see me next time.